Yes.
Fine. So in the last class, we have started with annual worth, correct? And we have solved some numericals on annual worth, okay? And we have also know that in the case of annual worth, we don't have to go with least common multiple method when we have unequal service life, because we will be considering the per year value or the value at the end of every time period. So depending upon the value, since the organization or individual will take the decision, so there is no need of calculating LCM as we do it for present worth and future worth analysis. But the conditions relating to the cost dominated and revenue dominated can also be used or can also be applicable for annual worth comparisons like our present worth and future worth comparison. Also, we have started with rate of return. That is the next component of economic evaluation of alternatives. So rate of return is nothing but the rate at which the company is getting the amount as receipts for the capital which they have invested. So it is nothing but the rate at which the company is getting the income for the expense or the investment which they have done. Okay, so that is nothing but the rate of return. And in rate of return, we have three different types. Okay, so the first is nothing but minimum acceptable rate of return. The second one is nothing but internal rate of return, and the third one is nothing but external rate of return. But for your syllabus, we have only one type, that is nothing but internal rate of return. So the MARR or minimum acceptable rate of return, as I have said to you in the previous classes, that MARR is nothing but the minimum acceptable limit for which the company can either go for deciding between the alternatives, or the company can go for analyzing the alternative. So it is nothing but the basic criteria, or that is nothing but the minimum level for taking the alternatives. When I mean the taking, in the sense, it can be the analysis for analyzing the alternative or for implementing and solving the problem. Okay, so that is nothing but the minimum acceptable level. So that is MARR. Generally, if the internal rate of return is less than, or if IRR value is less than the MARR value, the company will invest the amount at this MARR value. Okay, so that is MARR. That is the difference between MARR. That is the criteria between MARR and IRR. Okay, so internal rate of return is nothing but the rate at which the present worth of cash inflow will be equal to that of the outflow. Okay, so that is nothing but net present worth equals to 0. So whatever the amount you invest, to get that amount back, so what should be the interest rate? So that is nothing but internal rate of return. For the amount which you have invested, what is that interest rate at which you will get the return back within the given time period or within a service life? Okay, so that is the internal rate of return, where we generally calculate net present worth equal to 0, or present worth of cash inflow equal to present worth of cash outflow or initial investment. So IRR, or internal rate of return, we generally calculate using trial and error method or hit and trial method, where we randomly take some value, calculate its present worth, and see whether there is a change in the sign. So anyhow, when we solve numericals, we will get to know how to calculate the value of I. That's nothing but internal rate of return. Then you have external rate of return. So external rate of return is nothing but the interest rate which is set by considering the current economic conditions. Okay, by considering the current economic conditions, the policies, the process. So considering that the interest rate is set, so that interest rate we generally call as external rate of return. So external rate of return and the calculation for MARR will be done in the macroeconomics part, but we are not going to touch that particular component. Okay, so we will restrict it to IRR. So in calculating IRR, we have to remember these 5 equations, not all the equations, but only one or two. Two, if you remember, that is the first one and the fourth one. Rest all other components can be derived. Okay. So the first equation goes present worth of benefits minus present worth of cost equal to 0. So that is one component, or that one formula will give us the value of interest. So we will calculate the present worth of all the revenue, salvage value and income separately, the present worth of initial investment and all other cost factors separately, and then we will subtract and make it equal to 0. So we will get to know the unknown value I. Okay. Suppose if we move this cost onto the right hand side, okay, so it will become present worth of benefits equal to present worth of cost. So that is nothing but the last formula here. Okay, present worth of benefits equal to present worth of cost, or present worth of cost equal to present worth of benefits. Suppose if we move this cost parameter next to equal sign. Okay, then if we bring present worth of cost in the denominator, so then it will become the second equation, present worth of benefits divided by present worth of cost equal to 1. Okay, so that is again derived. Also, present worth of benefits minus present worth of cost, we generally call it as net present worth. Correct? So present worth of benefits minus present worth of cost, we generally call it as net present worth. Okay, so that is nothing but the third equation there. And the fourth one is something different, where they have given EUAB. It is not EUAP, it should be EUAR. Okay, so that means equivalent uniform annual revenues minus equivalent uniform annual cost equal to 0. Okay, so it should be equivalent uniform annual revenue. So here it has been given as EUAB. Okay, so make it EUAR. So that is nothing but the annual value of revenue as well as the annual value of cost. So calculate separately and subtract. Okay, make it equal to 0. So these are nothing but the 5 forms for calculating the interest rate item. Okay, so this we have studied. So you can copy down this also. This equation you can copy down. So we will move forward. Yeah. So we will solve some numericals relating to IRR. Okay, so please copy down this numerical. Students, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So everyone, please copy down the question. An equipment can be purchased for rupees 90,000 and the expected resale value after 20 years is rupees 60,000. If the annual rental income is rupees 11,800 and expenses of rupees 4,700, what will be the rate of return earned on this? Okay, so this is the question. So we'll solve it. Here in this question, they have given the investment of the investment value of an equipment, that is 90,000, and it has got some resale value after 20 years, that is 60,000. So that means my or the equipment service life is 20 years, and for that 20 years of equipment, the company have to pay the expenses of 4,700 per year, as well as using that equipment they will be getting the income as 11,800 per year. So we need to know the interest rate I or the rate of return earned on this equipment. So in this question we don't have the value of I. So that is the one component which we need to calculate. Okay, so we'll solve this numerical. So first we will draw the cash flow diagram for this. So the service life is 20 years. Okay, so 20 years is the service life. You have an equipment which is purchased for 90,000. So this will be 90,000. And you have resale value of 60,000 at the end of 20 years. So this will be 60,000. Then you have annual rental income of 11,800. So this amount is 11,800. Then you have 4,700 as nothing but the okay. So this is the cash flow diagram. So we will use any of the equation out of 5. I will use net present value equal to 0. Okay, NPV equal to 0. So this equation I am going to use. Okay, so we will write the present worth equation. So since the cost component value is less than that of the revenue component, so I can directly take it as negative for cost and positive for revenues. Okay, so minus 90,000. Okay, since it is in the 0th year, there is no interest rate added to it. Okay, then minus 4,700 into P by A. Interest rate is not which we have to calculate for a period of 20 years. Okay, so this will be the expense plus on the revenue side 11,800 rate for a period of 20. Okay, then plus 60,000, which is the resale value. It will be P by F, interest rate for a period of 20. So this is the equation. We can simply equal to 0. Okay, we can simplify it. So minus 90,000. You have this P by I comma 20 as a common factor. You can keep that component outside. Okay, so it will be plus P by A, interest rate for a period of 20. So this will be a common factor. So minus 4,700 plus 11,800 will be your annuity plus 60,000 into P by F, interest rate for a period of 20 equals to 0. Okay. So what is the value of this? 11,800 minus 4,700. Student, what is the value of this? 11,800 minus 4,700.
1,100. 7100.
Okay, 7100. P by A, interest rate for a period of 20 plus 60,000 P by F, interest rate for a period of 20 equals to 0. Okay, now we have to use trial and error method to calculate the value of I. Okay, I don't know if you can use the formula, whether you have an option in your calculator where you can get the value for I to the power 20 and all other components. Is there anything which you can do in the calculator?
Yes, sir. I think we can do directly in the calculator.
You can do directly. Okay, if you know the formulas, you can use that formula and use your calculator to find the value of I. Okay, so that can be done. Or else, what we have to do is since it is a trial and error method to calculate the value of I, we always, or the net present value is always, say for example, you have some cost, okay, you have some revenues. So we have to find one particular region where the cost will be equal to revenue. Okay. So that point we have to identify. Okay, which is that point or the region at which the cost or the present worth of cost will be equal to the present worth of revenue. So what we have to do is we have to assume, right, some value for I. Say you can start with 5%, 10%. There is no rule for it. Okay, randomly you have to take some value for I and substitute in the equation. Okay, hope you are getting the components or the concept which I am telling. Some random value you have to take here. Okay, say I will take I is equal to 10%. Okay, so that means I will substitute, or I will take I is equal to 10% and substitute in this equation. Okay, so you will get some value. Okay, so I'll write the same equation again, 90,000 plus 7100 into P by A. Interest rate is 10% for a period of 20. Again, plus 60,000 into P by A, 10% for a period of 20. The whole thing will be equated to 0. Okay, so 10% I have taken and I will check the value. No need to equate it to 0. Sorry, here no need to equate. This is the equation, or if you have the formulas, you can directly calculate its value here. Else, what we have to do is we have to write the net present worth value. Okay, for 10%. So for 10%, what is the value we get here? Student, what is the value we get here if you substitute 10%? Students, any confusion, please let me know. So anyone have calculated this equation? So if you can use the calculator, so you can calculate for this equation directly, because we will be equating it to 0, or else we have to calculate net present value, and depending upon the value we have to interpolate. Okay, so we will calculate using trial and error method. So please tell me the value for 10%. Is it minus 20,635? Have you calculated this? Hello, is it audible, students? I'm not hearing any of the voices. Hello?
Sir, 2635. Yes, sir, same answer.
The same answer, no? Okay, fine. So I have taken 10%. I have got the value as negative 20,635.32. Okay. Now we have to take another two iterations with different interest rate, because we have to find a region where the net present worth equal to 0, or the present worth of cost minus present worth of equals will be 0. Okay, so that means we have got a negative point here. So that means if the interest rate is 10%, so I have the value here. So this is something called as negative side. Okay, and this will be 0, and you have a positive side. Okay, now our value is here, say for 10%. We have to find another value which is positive. Okay, some interest rate. We don't know what is the interest rate. So we have to take the value, right, some value such that our net present worth value will come to positive. Okay, then once we get a negative and a positive value, we can assume that our IRR is between that two values. Okay, then once we get these two values, we will interpolate and find the value of I such that our net present value is 0. Okay, so again I will repeat. Now for 10% I have got the net present value on negative side. Okay, so net present value on the negative side. Since IRR is nothing but the present worth of the outflow equal to present worth of inflow, or net present worth equal to 0. Okay, so we have to find one positive parameter, right, or this positive result for net present worth. Okay, so I don't know at what percentage I will get, right? It may be at 5%, or it may be 15%. I'm not sure. Okay, so I have to randomly take some value. Say I can take 13%. Okay, and calculate. See what is the value you get. If it is still negative and if it is moving away from 0, so that means, if say for example this is 0, and for 10% you have got here, and for 13% if it is here, right? So that means as you increase the value of I, our net present value is moving away from 0. So that means our value should be somewhat lesser than 10%, or less than 10%. So you have to again decrease it such that you will get one positive net present value. Okay, so once you get a negative and positive net present value, our value of I will lie between these two range, or between these two values. Okay, then using interpolation we will get the exact value. Okay, is that okay? Hope you have understood the components or the concept. Right, so you assume say 13% or 12%, whatever it is, and calculate the net present value. Tell me what is the net present value you get for 13% or 15% or 12%.
So for 13%, it is minus 34917.
34917. Okay. So that means our value is still increasing, right? So it was 20,635 for 10%. Now for 13%, it is moving away. So that means it is minus 34,917. So that means our value of I lies below 10%, somewhere below 10%. Okay. Now you check for net present worth equal to say 8% or 7% or even 5% is also fine. Okay, some value which is less than 10%.
So for 7%, it is 722.
Positive row. Okay, for 7% it is 722. Okay, so that means this is net present value we will get as positive when the interest rate is 7%. Okay, so that means I have got a negative value for 10% and I have got a positive value, net present value positive for 7%. So that means my range is something around 7 and 10%. Okay, so 7 and 10% will be the range. So net present worth and the interest rate. Okay, for 7%, I have got the interest rate as 722. Okay, and for 10%, I have got as minus 20,635.22. So that is our value. Correct. So that means this is our range now. So IRR is between these two range values, 7 and 10%. Now we have to use interpolation. Okay. So interpolation, we have to use. Okay. So what I will do is 7% and the value is 722 and you have x which we need to calculate. We'll assume it as 0 because net present worth to be 0 and 10% we have got the value as minus 2635.22. Okay, so this is the value. So we will consider this as x1, this as x, this as x2, y1, y and y2, and we will substitute in this equation. X2 minus x1 divided by y2 minus y1 equal to x minus x1 divided by y minus y1. Okay, so this will be the for interpolation formula. So I guess you know this formula. Okay, now you substitute all these values in this equation. So x2 is 10%, so it is 0.1 minus x1 is 7%, that is 0.07 divided by y2 is minus 2635.22, then again minus of y1, so y1 is 722 equals x is x here minus x1 is 7%, that is 0.07 divided by y is 0 minus and y1 is 722. Okay, so you will get the value of I. Student, what is the value for X or I here? What is the value you get here?
Point 0.071.
Okay, 0.071. So that means interest rate is 0.071 into 100. So is it 7.1%?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Right. So this is the value. Okay, that is 7.1%. So if the interest rate is 7.1%, then the present worth of revenue will be equal to present worth of cost for a 20-year time period. Okay, so this is how we calculate the interest rate. Okay, so one thing, one important component here which you need to know when it comes to examination. Okay, so what students will do generally is they will take say 10%. Okay, so they have got say minus 20,635.22. Okay, and they want one positive value for net present. So they take 3% or 2% or even 1% and check with the values. Okay, in some cases what will happen is they will first calculate for 10% and then they go with 20%, 30%, like that. So if you increase the range, okay, if you increase the range, then this value will be different. Okay, as you increase the range, the value will be different. So this will keep on increasing. So what I suggest is take at least plus or minus 5 difference, 5% difference. Okay, if you have got 10% minus value, then either you go with 5%, right, or you take 15%. Okay, if you have taken less than plus or minus 3, it is well and good, but in the exam, okay, if suppose if you don't have time, then at least maintain this plus or minus 5% and then calculate the net present value. Okay, so in that case we will be getting something around 7.1 or 7.5, 7.3. So this value will not change. Okay, so this is one important component when it comes to your examination. Okay, either you can take plus or minus 5% or plus or minus 3. So if you have taken 10%, then in the second step you can take 13 and check the values for net present value. If it is still negative, so you have to then go with 7% as we have did for this numerical. Okay, so that means my range value will be nearer, somewhat nearer. Okay, 7 and 10. So if you increase the range value, your interest value will change. So it may go to 8%, 9%. Okay. In that case, you may get 75 or 80% of the marks. Okay, 80 to 85% of the marks you will get. But so better go with plus or minus 5%, right? So that would be an ideal, or that would be a good range. Okay. So any doubt here? Any doubts? So on the slide, I have taken one for 5%, 10%, 8% and 5% I have taken. Okay, for 8% I have got it as negative value. Okay. Then I have taken 5% and 8% as the range values and calculated. So I have got 7.1%. Okay, any confusion, any doubts here?
No, sir.
No. Right. Okay, then we will move on to the next numerical. So please try to solve this numerical. So here only thing is we have to draw the cash flow diagram and equation. If you have the calculator and if that will give you the value, then you can directly equate the net present value equation to that of 0. Okay, so you will get the unknown value I. Okay, if not, if you don't know, or if there is no option in the calculator to calculate the bigger numbers, then you can go with trial and error method as we have did now. Okay, by randomly assuming some percentage, right? You can start with 10% interest rate. Okay, maximum you can take, you can have 3 different percentage. So at that time you will get to know whether your net present value is moving away from 0 or whether it is coming near to 0. Okay, so if it is moving away from 0, that means your net present value or the interest rate you have to take less. Okay, so as we have did now. So then once you get the positive value and a negative value, then you interpolate. That is the procedure for calculating trial and error method. And that process where we go with different iteration and randomly taking the values, so that is called as trial and error method. Okay. So please try to solve this. So this is also similar to that of the previous numerical.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, the last line, $700,000 at the end of 10 years in equipment refurbishment cost.
Hmm.
Sir, this is the cost that company has to pay or they will get.
The company has to pay. It is a cost. It is not a receipt.
Thank you, sir.
So, but doesn't it say it'll save the company 700,000?
Pardon?
Sir, but doesn't it say it will save the company 700,000? Like it says, this is expected to save.
One. Okay.
It's
This is expect. Yeah. So that means it is a positive. Yeah. It's a revenue. Sorry. So this is expected to save 10,000 per year for the 10 years in energy cost and 700,000 at the end of 10th year in the equipment refurbishment cost. So that means it is a positive. Okay, it is a receipt or the revenue, not the cost. Okay, sorry. So here the present worth equation I will write. Okay, so net present worth would be minus 500,000. Okay, since it is already in the 0th year, no interest rates will be added to it. Plus any other cost parameters we have? No. So we have 10,000 per year which will be savings P by A, interest rate for a period of 10. Okay, then we have $700,000. Again it is at the end of 10th year, so it is not an annuity, it will be a single payment. Okay, so hope you have written the same equation. Now once after you write the equation, randomly take some value of I, 10% or 5% or 7%, and check the net present value.
Sir, is the interest rate equals to 5.6%?
5.6. Yeah, so what is the value you get here? You tell me.
Uh, actually, sir, I directly solve in the calculator. It's coming 5.2, sorry.
Okay, then it is fine. So I have got 5.16. Okay. So okay, so as he has calculated through the calculator, so he has got something around 5.2.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Okay. So this was trial and error method. Okay. So using calculator, the interest rate you will get as 5.2%. Okay, so this is the answer. So that means if you take this value, I guess it is moving away from 0. So you have to move it something nearer to 5 and 6. Okay, so please check with the answer. So I have taken, this is a cash flow again. And I have taken 5 and 6%. And I have got 5.16% as the interest rate. Any doubts here, students? Any difficulty? Any doubts, any difficulty here? So all of you are getting these values. So in the exam, if you are going to use the calculator, you have to write the calculator for finding out the value directly, as we have did now. Okay, in that case, you have to write the equation here. Okay. If you are going to use trial and error method, we have to get these values. Okay. And your final result with your interpolation and final answer. So these steps is required. The equation which is must here, okay, these equations and the random values which you take for I, okay, and its interpolation and your final answer. So that is required. So then we will move on to the next topic of, so this numerical you can solve it later. Okay, I will forward these slides at the end of this class, okay, or today. So you can solve this numerical later, similar to that of the previous. Okay. So then we will move on to the next topic, that is incremental rate of return. Today we will just give the introduction relating to that. In the next class, we will go with the numerical. Okay. So here incremental also it is similar to IRR, only the first few steps are different. Okay. So in IRR, we generally calculate the interest rate I or the IRR by ranking different alternatives. That is, we will be considering only one alternative and we will be calculating its IRR. Suppose if we have multiple alternatives, in that case, it would be difficult for us to arrive at a final decision whether to go with that option or not. And if the MARR value is not given. Okay. So that is why we have to go with something called as incremental IRR when you have multiple alternatives. Okay. So why must incremental analysis be used for competing projects? Okay. So if you can look at this example. So assume that MARR of 16% per year is required and 85,000 dollars is available to invest. Okay, so that means 16% is the MARR value. If the company does not get a good return on their investment, then they will invest it at the MARR value, that is 16%. And they have a capital of $85,000, which they can invest into different projects. So here there are two projects. Okay, project A requires 50,000 upfront to obtain an IRR of 35% per year. So that means project A cost $50,000, but they will get an IRR of 35% return. Okay. Whereas project B requires an $85,000 first cost and returns an IRR of 25% per year. So among these two projects, which alternative the organization can prefer? Which project they can go according to you? Students, tell me which one you will select. Among these two projects, which project you are going to take? You have MARR of 16% and you have $85,000 in your hand. Yeah. Which one would be better? Whether IRR of 35% with project with the cost of $50,000 or IRR of 29% with the cost of $85,000. Students, any guesses whether you have any answers?
No idea, sir.
No idea. Okay. So generally what we do is, if we go with the numbers, right, we will go with IRR. Generally we will see the return, right? So we may go with project A, right? So that would be a better option. Why, I will tell you, right? So we have to, once we have the amount, right? Project A requires 50,000 cost and IRR of 35%. Project B requires 85,000 and IRR of 29% per year. So we have to ask, what will the project, what will be the amount remaining and what the organization will do with the remaining amount. So $85,000 they have, 50,000, suppose they spend 50,000 for A. So that means they have some remaining 35,000. What they will do with that amount? Whether they are going to invest in any other financial institution? Okay, because project B, the entire amount will be utilized for project B and they will be getting 29% return. So you have to check, right, what the project A will do or what the manager will do or the organization will do with the available or the remaining amount after, if they go with project A. Okay, so that is 35,000. So since I have told you today in the beginning, right, if the company value of IRR is less or if they don't have any option of getting better financial institution which gives them better return, so they will invest it to the MARR value, right? So it would be reasonable to invest the remaining amount, that is $35,000 at MARR. Okay, probably they might not have got any other good financial institution which gives better return, right, greater than MARR. So they will invest it into the MARR because that would be the better or the good choice. Okay. So by weighted average, if we can calculate, so the overall IRR of A will be 50,000 is the amount which they spend on a project A. 35% is the return they will be getting, plus you have that remaining 35,000, which they will spend or which they will invest on a financial institution which gives MARR value, that is 16%. Okay, divided by the total capital. So you will be getting 27.2% per year. Okay. Now you compare this value with that of the project B, right? So project B, even though it uses the entire amount of 85,000, it gives a IRR of 29%. Okay. Now which is better?
So project B.
Obviously project B, right? So in such cases, we will use this incremental IRR to find out the true difference between the alternative. Okay, it is basically, or IRR is basically a decision making tool to find out the true cost difference between the alternative. So here, if we have gone with the IRR of A, right? IRR was more in that case, 35,000, right? And if we have gone with that, probably we might have missed, or we would have missed an opportunity of getting a better return, right, with that of the project B. Okay, so in such cases, we need to go with incremental IRR. Okay, so that is why we use the cost difference. So I will tell you what is cost difference again when we reach to that stage. Okay. Now look at this cases, or look at this case. So can we rank the mutually exclusive project by the magnitude of its IRR? So you have two alternatives, A1 and A2, right? And the cash flows for each of the alternatives have been given. So 0th year you have minus $1,000, so that is nothing but an investment. First year, using the alternative 1, you will be getting 2,000 back. Okay, that is 1,000 you invest, 2,000 you will get. Whereas alternative 2, 5,000 you invest, so minus 5,000, 7,000 you will get as return. Okay, at the end of first year. So in that case, IRR is 100% return, right, for A1. But whereas A2, you will have only 40%. So if you go with IRR, I will take A1 because it gives me 100% return. But if you go with present worth again, where I can get some lump sum amount, or where I can get some idea, or where I will get what is that lump sum amount I can deposit in the amount. In that case, as on today's day, present worth, for 10%, I will be getting 818 for A1, and better when it comes to better results for A2, that is 1,364. Now in such a cases, again we will be in difficult situation, right? Whether to go with IRR or whether to go with present worth. So IRR gives me 100% return, but present worth gives me A2 is a better option. Okay. So in such cases also, we have to go with incremental IRR. So that is why when you have more than one alternatives, it is better to go with incremental IRR. So incremental IRR, to calculate incremental IRR, we have to follow some procedure. Okay. First step is compute the cash flow for the difference between the projects A and B by subtracting the cash flow of the lower investment cost project A from that of the higher investment cost project B. So always, for any numerical, when you have more than one alternative, first arrange the alternative in the ascending order. So ascending order in the sense, considering the initial cost, you will be arranging the alternatives in the ascending order, that is smallest to biggest value. Okay. So probably here in this case, alternative A will be having the less value than compared to alternative B. Less value in the sense we will look only the initial cost or the value at time 0. So considering that value, we will arrange the alternatives in ascending order. Okay. So once you arrange the alternatives in ascending order, okay, then you compute the incremental cash flow. So here in the image for the table, you can see the incremental cash flow. So incremental cash flow is nothing but the true cost difference between the alternative. So here alternative A probably has the less value and alternative B is having higher value. So 2 minus 1. So that means they have subtracted alternative A with alternative B. So 2 minus 1. So that is nothing but the incremental cash flow. So the entire, so depending upon the initial cost value, so you will write all the value for 1 to n years. Okay. So we will check the initial value. Okay. We'll arrange it in ascending order by considering the initial value, and we will do alternative 2 minus alternative 1, and we will follow the same thing for all the cash flows. Okay, and then compute the IRR on this incremental investment. Now whatever you have calculated here, that's incremental cash flow, you will be calculating IRR by trial and error method as we have did in the previous numerical. Okay, the same procedure will follow, not for the alternative A and B, but for this incremental cash flow. Okay, for this incremental cash flow, you will calculate IRR. So that is nothing but the second step. Okay, then depending upon IRR value, you have to arrive at a final decision. Okay, stating that except the third step, accept the investment B if and only if IRR of B minus A is greater than MARR. If the IRR of this incremental cash flow is greater than MARR, then the company can go with alternative B. Okay. If your IRR of B minus A is less than MARR, okay, the other way, if it is greater, you go with B. If it is less than MARR, then go with alternative A. Okay, if these two are equal, if IRR of B minus A equals to MARR, then you can go with any of the projects. Okay, so this is the procedure here. So any confusion here, students? So you can take this procedure. Okay, only the first step is different. Rest all is the same as that of IRR. So first you arrange for a given numerical, you arrange the alternatives in ascending order by considering the initial cost or the value at time 0. Usually it will be the initial cost. Okay. Then once after you arrange it in ascending order, calculate the difference. So that will be the incremental cash flow. Okay, by subtracting the first column with that of the second, that is 2 minus 1 here, and that will be followed for all other cash flows. Okay, except the years. For all the cash flows except the time frame, you will be subtracting. Okay, then calculate IRR for the incremental cash flow value, which you have calculated by substituting one alternative with that of the, by subtracting one alternative with that of the other. Okay. So if the IRR value of that difference is more than MARR value, then the second option will be the better choice. Okay. If the difference of if the difference of B minus A or the first and the second is greater than that of the MARR value, so then option A is a better choice. If the IRR of B minus A is equal to MARR, then any of the alternatives you can take. Okay, so this is the procedure. So numericals relating to this we will solve in the next class. So any doubts, any confusion here? Students, any doubts, any confusion? So if there are no doubts, then we can stop this meeting. Okay. In the next class, we will start with the numericals relating to this. Okay. And we will try to go with the next chapter, that is replacement analysis. Okay. So I will just check because we have rate of return or recovery. Okay, rate of capital. So that also one component is pending. So that I will check. Okay, whether we have to teach along with this or whether I can take with the replacement analysis, because in replacement analysis we again go with that component. Okay, so that will see. So any doubts till now, students? Any doubts? Any clarifications? So these slides I will forward it to you. So any doubts? Any clarifications? No. Right. So if there are no doubts, then I will end this meeting. Okay. So we will meet again on the next Monday. Sorry, Wednesday. Right. So today is Monday. So we have another class on Wednesday. So we'll again meet on Wednesday with the numericals relating to IRR and capital recovery if possible or replacement analysis. Okay. So I will end this meeting then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.